Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Talkin Dome. We just got done watching I say we as if someone else is here. It's just me today. Maybe eventually I figure out how to get somebody else on here. But this is going into voice notes and then being converted into a video. So today I got done watching the first episode of the new version of Harambe Dome. And I have some notes. While it's nice, it's refreshing to get some new hosts, I question first and foremost their connection with one another. Now, the previous hosts, while some subtle hatred was masking what truly could be described as sexual tension, these new hosts at times, and by times I mean throughout the entire episode, I wonder if they even know one another. Do they know each other? There's no connection. Energy seems low. I did notice a comment on the video from some clown saying he loved the energy. I question if that was a comment that was made before he even watched the video. And that's what I'm going to have to assume, is that person made that comment before they watched the video, because you can watch the video and you don't feel energy, you don't feel a connection. It seems like they don't even want to be there. And they were two people that volunteered to take over the role of Harambe Dome host. So I would hope that they could put more effort into the next episodes. I'm not gonna say that their reign as hosts is over, that it's terrible, because it's the first episode. They're figuring things out. It's been a while since I think JB's the only one that's ever truly hosted. Ted has been multiple-time guest host, multiple-time guest. So I can't hold it against them entirely. Can't hold it against them completely because they're figuring things out. It's their first episode together. It takes time for that kind of synergy, that kind of connection to build, and I guess that's just what I'm missing. And maybe I'm wrong, because I only went back and watched a few episodes from the previous hosts, mainly because I was one of those hosts, and so maybe I'm also sort of biased and just liking my hostship better than what we're getting now. Leave a comment. Let me know if I'm tripping. If I'm just tripping, yo. But yeah, so moving on. Second criticism: the sound. Oh man, the sound. This is something else that needs to get figured out. I don't mind so much JB's boy talking in the background. That's not what I'm complaining about when I mention sound. It's something with the mixing. The levels are off. JB is very quiet. Ted is very loud. I know that JB educated Sean on how to fix that. Hopefully he could take his own advice and fix it as well. Much like their issue with sound, you'll notice that there was a lot of background noise in the first about 3 minutes or so, 3.5 minutes of me talking. Hopefully that's muted now. Again, it's something that we're all figuring out. We're all figuring out how to deal with sound. This is new for me. I haven't ever hosted a Talking Dome. I don't think Talking Dome has existed for maybe 4 years now. So just trying to bring it back. Maybe not a weekly thing, but anytime I feel like things need to be commented on. And, changing hosts, that's something that deserves commenting. And so Talking Dome will return for this week. I was mentioning the sound. And yeah, I think JB knows what he's doing. I just think maybe this was thrown together a little bit. I think the people demanded it. They weren't quite prepared. And that's ultimately what it seems like, is a lack of preparation. And you could hear that in the beginning of the episode where they joke about, oh yeah, we've been preparing for this for weeks. We didn't just throw this together. I think the pressure from the league caused them to just throw something together. And yeah, I mean, should they have been prepared to do a post-draft Harambe Dome as the new hosts of Harambe Dome? I would argue yes, but like I said, I'm not writing them off completely just yet. I'm not going to do that. I do think that these two, anytime they were guests on the show, they offer great feedback, great insight. I love the banter that they both give. So I do think that these two, as hosts of Harambe Dome, can do great work. Just time will tell if they could fix these issues. And I don't want it to come across as me hating. It could sound like that. I don't want it to be that. What I want this to be is constructive criticism. Okay? And if you disagree with what I'm saying, please leave a comment. Go to the group chat. Tell us. Tell everybody what you're feeling, because this is content that is good for the league, I think. I think this is content that the people that listen to look forward to. And I'll be honest, I was super excited to be a listener this year. I don't know if I mentioned it in the first clip, but being the host, I only got to listen to a few episodes. I mean, I'm not going to go back and listen to myself talk, even though I love doing that. I love hearing myself talk. So I would go back, but not as often as you might think. Yeah, it wasn't too often that I got to enjoy listening to a Harambe Dome episode. Obviously, there were the few times where I couldn't be on, circumstances came up, blah, 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 and I wasn't there. So I listened to those for sure, and that was always exciting. I enjoy this content. I enjoy to get to hear, maybe thought processes that other people were going through on Sundays as I'm sitting there biting my nails, worried about my matchup. I wonder what James Wardle was thinking, or I wonder what Teddy Boy was thinking, or Jay Bizzle. What are these guys? What's going through these guys' minds as they're watching these matchups, as they're following along? So, yeah, I am excited about these two new hosts. I'm excited about the prospect, the idea of being a fan and not a host. So I don't want to kill these guys. I just want to try to help them create the best product possible, because I do feel that these two could do a better job than Sean and I did. I do feel that way, because while Sean and I did have that connection, that energy, at least from my standpoint, from my point of view, that took time. We were hosts for however many years. I think 3. I don't actually know for sure, but that camaraderie, that sexual tension, I guess you could say, it took time to build, and I think these two will do it. So I'm gonna stop criticizing for now, because it's really the main pointers I had written down here was the sound, the energy / connection between the two hosts, and then just the fact that it felt kind of rushed, kind of just put together too quickly. And something else I want to mention is a lack of their own power rankings. I don't remember if Sean and I did power rankings preseason. I believe we did starting last season. So the lack of that is also a little bit of a letdown. But hey, they're figuring it out. They're new hosts. They'll come around. They'll figure it out. I believe it. Moving on to the positives. Obviously, first episode, right? First episode, so it's kind of bare bones. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Nobody knows anything about anyone's team. You can look at a team and say, oh, I like this guy, I like that guy, but there's really no data. It's just all speculation right now, right? And I feel like the boys did a good job of communicating that, of like, hey, these are guys that we like, but let's be honest, what does that matter right now? And I appreciated that they were transparent with that. I don't remember in years past if Sean and I did this, but I do really like the individual spotlight on each team. Picking one player that you really like, one player that you don't like so much. I felt like that was a good addition. Everyone, for the first episode at least, gets a chance to hear a little bit about their team, maybe a little glaze, maybe something that they can hold on to and use later as like, hey, I told you so. I told you this person's going to be great. So that was something that I did like quite a bit. No budget segment. I guess that's another criticism. That would have been riveting this week, but No, I did. I did really enjoy the going through each team because again, I don't think that Sean and I did that. I might be wrong, but I do like going through each team, giving them all a little bit of shine week one, and talking about, hey, this was good pick. This I don't think was a good pick, and then just overall touching on their team, like, hey, how do you feel about this? I like looking at the Watson ranking. It's always good to see that, and it's a good thing that we have a screenshot now of week one, even though it does tell you where you start the season, where you end up, but just to see how much Watson changes, even week one to week two. So I appreciated that as well. I thought that was good. Um, that about sums up all my notes. That about does it. That was the entire episode. I mean, we went through each team, looked at the power rankings. Like I said, there's not much you could do in a preseason Harambe Dome. There's not really. You could look at matchups of the week, which they did. They did look at some matchups. But yeah, you don't really. There's nothing. There's nothing other than just the content of the draft. And so for what they had, I do think they made a good episode. Beyond the criticisms, which I do think will be improved. I think we are in for a good year of Harambe Dome. Two hosts that I do believe they want to be there, and they'll show that in future episodes. They're busy. They threw something together, but I think the issues that I outlined will be fixed. So that's going to do it for this episode of Talkin Dome. Maybe we're back next week, maybe not. We'll see what happens. But if you've listened for this long, please like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell notification, and I'll see you next time.